I'm feeling like I'm in a really great place in my life. And I know that's because I'm the author of my life, just like you are the author of your life. How great is that? I want to welcome you back to another episode of the Reflection Hour with your host, Sidni. So, I was reading something yesterday. So, I've been getting back into my personal development bag because I had a weekend. Really, I had a Saturday where I went a little crazy with the drinking and I was by myself. Like, I didn't even understand why I did that. I think it was a really nice day and I got a pack of Cutwaters and I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, like I'll just have one. And then I just kind of kept drinking them and I wasn't really thinking about the fact that like they would all hit me because it didn't taste like there was anything in it. And then of course, I ended up super trash, which not ideal, but I'm being honest with you here, right? And on Sunday, I ended up feeling really, really bad. Like I was very, very sick. And guess what? It was my own doing. It was my fault because I wasn't being smart the night before. All right. And how many of us do this? And we do this over and over and over again. And we don't stop to take a moment and reflect on the fact that we can change our behaviors as easy as one, two, three. But are we going to change those behaviors or are we going to continue to do the things that we know aren't good for us because we're used to it? And I'm not saying that I do that every weekend. I really am not a drinker like that at all. That's why it was so out of nowhere for me to get trashed on a Saturday during the day. Like it was actually insane. But on Sunday, as I was reflecting and I was really thinking about my life because I finally felt like I had my health again because I wasn't throwing up, I made a decision. I made a decision that I really want to invest more in myself and the things that take away from me being my best self, I should simply not do, okay? You should simply not do. That's it. That's what you got to do. And I'm going to go off the screen for a sec because I completely forgot to get my book, which I thought I put on the table, but I clearly didn't because this is the book that I was reading and I've been reading for the past few days and I really like it. And it's called Focal Point. And it's talking about like a proven system to simplify your life, double your productivity, and achieve all of your goals. But before I even get into that, I made a decision that I really wanted to become the best version of myself. And it's not to say that I haven't made this decision before, but after it, I was really looking at my life and I was really thinking about the decisions that I made and the decisions that I have been making and how I've kind of been on this trajectory where I'm like, oh, like going up and down, up and down, up and down. I think the highs used to be really high and the lows used to be really low, but now it kind of feels like I'm going like this, like it's a wave that's much more calm. But I want to get to a place where it's kind of just gradually going up. And I would say, despite that moment of weakness, I'll say, is what Saturday was, I still think I'm on an upward trajectory. And I think for my entire life, I have been on an upward trajectory. And I think it's because I recognize that I am my greatest asset. We are our greatest assets, okay? When you invest in yourself, you will always reap a reward. So many people online, whether it's a financial guru or self-help guru, whatever, tells you, oh my gosh, you got to invest in stocks, you got to invest in this, you got to invest in that. But the greatest investment you can truly make is by investing in yourself, investing in your knowledge, investing in your skills, investing in your health, investing in your spirituality. Literally, investing in yourself will always reap dividends. And if you are not doing that, if you are thinking, oh my gosh, if I just buy this stock and ride it to the moon, then everything will be great in my life. No, that's not going to happen, okay? You have to constantly be investing in yourself. And the more that you invest in yourself, the greater that you will reap a reward from that investment, because no one can ever take away the work that you put into yourself. And that's what I've really learned over the years. It's funny because today, for whatever reason, I woke up and I decided that I wasn't going to go on social media at all. And as the type of person or someone who has been on social media for years, just mindlessly scrolling, whether it's Instagram, whether it's TikTok being definitely my app of choice because it's just so easy to scroll endlessly. Whether it's scrolling endlessly on YouTube and looking for videos, or on Twitter, which honestly, I don't really go on Twitter or X anymore at all. So that's pretty nice. Or looking at Pinterest, which I think is a little bit different because whenever I go on Pinterest, I'm vision boarding something and it's purposeful. So I'm never just randomly on Pinterest. But I think you get the point. Any of these social media apps can be such a large distraction and really take away from you truly sitting with yourself and coming to terms with who you are and what it is that you truly desire. And that is truly the nature of these apps. I remember a few years ago, I saw some video or something, and it was like social media is like so shall me die, which is kind of grim if you think about it. But it kind of makes sense because if you are constantly on social media, getting these dopamine hits, listening to other people's opinions, not really formulating your own, like constantly seeing new content, 1 minute you're happy, 1 minute you're sad, 1 minute you're angry, it's a lot, okay? And it totally messes up our nervous systems. And I think it also makes us less likely to actually be open with ourselves and to go deep with ourselves and to be honest with ourselves, because we are numbing ourselves through social media. We're constantly swiping. And just that act alone, I don't think is a very loving act to yourself, because if you really think about it, you need time. We all need time. When you invest that time into yourself, you will be a happier person. If you invest your time into cheap dopamine hits via content, via sugar, via whatever thing that is not healthy for you, you are teaching yourself that you're not worth the time. And I personally don't want to live that way anymore. And when I woke up this morning, after I went to sleep last night and had read for an hour and a half before I even went to bed, and I woke up and I had so much time in the morning because I went to sleep so early, it felt really nice. It felt so nice to have the energy to actually have a morning routine and to journal and to read a little bit and to have a slower start to my day. Like, I enjoy things like that. And I felt like I was really caring for myself in that moment because I was doing that. And it's not even a feeling, really. It's the truth. I was pouring into myself before the demands of my day, before anyone else could get to me. And there's something that's really awesome about that. And it's kind of crazy how we've normalized social media to the point where people literally can't go an hour, 2 hours when they wake up in the morning without going on social media. And I'm saying this as someone who's literally done that and thought nothing of it. And I think every so often I get into these bouts where I'm like, I'm not going to go on social media at all. Like, it doesn't even matter. And I feel so good, right? And then for whatever reason, whether it's the people I'm around or what's going on in my life or really just me not being intentional, I fall back into the habit of being on social media. And I recognize how much more frantic I am, how I don't have as many ideas as I know I have, because I'm just stuck in this loop of constantly satiating my impulses. And I don't think that's a good idea. I think the best way to live life is really just to raw dog life. I was walking my dog this morning and I didn't take my phone with me. And we probably were gone for like maybe 20 minutes. I don't know. And as I was walking around, I was like, wow, this is really nice. I had a roll of poop bags in my pocket. And since it was a full roll, it kind of felt like a phone. And I was like reaching for my phone. And it's just this constant anxiety that I think we all have where we're reaching for our phone or like trying to check our phone or trying to see what happened, trying to see if someone texts us. But is that the best way to live life? Hey, I'm just talking about my experience, but I don't think it is. I don't think it's a great thing to have this phone in your pocket where you feel the need to constantly be connected to people. Like, yeah, sure, we're connected to people, but do you really need to be that connected to people all the time? I don't think you do. I know I don't. So, I mean, hey, your life is yours. My life is mine. Do what you want to do with your life. I'm going to do what I want to do with my life. But I prefer a more peaceful life. I prefer a more calm life. I prefer a life where I can actually be focused on something and not have this anxiety about, oh my gosh, what if this person tried to reach me and that person tried to reach me, or this thing is going on online and I don't, you know what I mean? Like, that's too much for me to think about. And I wonder almost what it was like to really live life before social media, like back in like the 1950s, 1900s, like when they didn't even have telephones or TVs. People were so bored. And because people were so bored, we got the majority of these groundbreaking inventions from that time. Because people were bored and they wanted to solve their own problems. So they got to tinkering and they built stuff. And I think a lot of our creative forces as humans today is really sapped from us because we're sitting on our phones and doing shit we shouldn't be doing. Like looking at people that we don't know live lives that maybe we envy, maybe we don't at all. Maybe we see it for ourselves, but we're not doing anything in the present moment to actually create that life. And that's my point, right? Like, you have to get focused. You have to have a focal point. And I guess that's probably what attracted me to this book on a subconscious level. I have just been really thinking about where I'm going in my life, what I'm doing, what I want out of my life. Are the things that I'm doing now contributing to where I want to go? And if they're not, I need to change them. And if they are, I should double down on those things. And one of the things that I know in my life that's going really well is I really like my job. I really enjoy my job. I really enjoy the company that I work for. Like, it's a really great company and I really like it. And I've never felt this way about work before. And I think because I never felt this way about work before, I was always trying to escape, right? I was always trying to look for the next company that I was going to work for, or look for the next thing that I was going to do, or start this side gig and that side gig. And it's like, I'm finally at a point where I don't want to do that. I enjoy my day-to-day work. I kind of want to see where it goes, or not kind of want to, I want to see where it goes with the company that I work for because I really like it. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the people that I work with. I enjoy the work. I just really enjoy it. And it feels really awesome to be at this place in my life. And I know that I created it. But as I'm looking forward, I'm like, what else do I want to create within my career, within my life, at this company? What do I want to do? And I have to get clear on that. We all have to get clear on the things that we truly want to do in life. Because if you're not intentional about creating your life, then you kind of just meander through life and you don't really create anything of notable value because you're not really seeing yourself as notable. And you are notable. We're all notable. But if we don't believe that we are, if we don't believe that our time and our attention is actually worth something, then we're not going to act like it. And we're going to really squander our time, squander our energy, squander our money. And what does that do? It doesn't do anything. And that's pretty much the point that I got to after I was sick from getting way too drunk. I realized that I want to be more intentional about everything that I do in my life and how I spend my time, how I spend my energy. And if anything is getting in the way of that, then it needs to go. So, yeah, it's kind of a cool takeaway from a bit of a sucky day, because that was a sucky day, but it was my fault. And I think the fact that it was my fault, the fact that I know that I don't have to continue doing that, is literally the best thing ever. It is. So when it comes to personal development and it comes to investing in yourself, you really have to pencil yourself in at all points in time. If you're not penciling yourself in, why would anybody else? You know, like, you have to remember that this is your life. You only have one life as far as we know. Like, sure, you may come back as another spirit and another body, but as far as your life in this body that you have right now, this is your one life, right? So you have to live it to the best of your ability. You have to be intentional. And the more that you invest in yourself, the more that you invest in your skill set, in your mental well-being, your physical well-being, you will feel better. You will feel more empowered. You will feel in control because you are. Because you're not just floating around. You're not just doing what everybody else is doing. You're doing what you want to do and not giving a fuck about it, which is how it should be. So I think one of my favorite parts about myself is that I really do love to learn. Learning is one of my favorite things ever. I'm constantly reading, and I used to read a lot more, but I'm getting back into it, so it's okay. And I'm constantly upgrading things in my life, like even what I was sharing earlier about the fact that I didn't do, or I wasn't on social media whatsoever today. I don't count YouTube, okay? I don't count YouTube because I was watching YouTube videos, but I was watching YouTube videos that were helping me be a better person, okay? Helping with my mindset. So yeah, so the sixth attitude, this is from the book Focal Point, of optimistic people is growth orientation. This fact is your life gets better only when you get better. Growth-oriented people are committed to themselves and to their futures. They are eager to learn and practice new ideas, insights, techniques, methods, and strategies. They are hungry for new information. Like sponges, they soak up everything they can from every resource around them. Basketball coach Pat Riley wrote, "If you're not getting better, you're getting worse." You have enormous untapped reserves of mental capacity that you have never used. You have the ability to learn and become excellent in more areas than you can ever dream of. But your mind is like a muscle. If you don't use it, you lose it, at least temporarily. The future belongs to the competent. In the 21st century, the future belongs to the omnicompetent. The future belongs to people who are very good at what they do and who are getting better every single day. And this is interesting because I think I'm experiencing something at work right now, or not me personally, but I'm kind of watching something play out. And essentially, like, I'm seeing how one person is kind of like opting out of the job that we're all in, the environment that we're all in. And I can see how the fact that that person has kind of opted out, whenever they decide to join us, they are a bit frantic. They're a bit like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing? And it's like, you feel that way because you're not showing up. If you don't show up, you can't expect to get better. And that's exactly what that point is making. Like, you have to decide that you want to get 1% better every day, that you're going to put in the time, you're going to put in the energy, you're going to physically show up. Because if you don't do that, you can't expect to get better. You can't expect to be respected. You can't expect to be trusted because you're not in the room and you're not putting yourself in a position to be a beginner, to learn, to ask questions, to get better at your job. Like I can't respect a person who won't even show up, who won't even put themselves out there and ask a question. You know what I mean? You have to be willing to ask those stupid questions, to be seen as a beginner, because when you do that, you get better. And I think that's one of my best qualities, is that I will ask the questions. I will triple, quadruple clarify to ensure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, because that's how I get better. I want to get better. I don't mind if I look like I'm incompetent at first. I am. I don't know what I'm doing yet. But the more that I ask questions, the more that I show up, the more that I am willing to look like a beginner, the more that I will become competent in what I'm doing, to the point where I can then train someone else on how to do this. I'll feel so confident in it that I because I'm so competent in it, that it'll feel like a walk in the park. And that's always the case whenever you start a new job. Like, you do kind of feel like an idiot. You're like, oh my gosh, I don't know any of this jargon. I don't know any of these people. I don't know any of these processes. Like, what is going on? But the more that you show up, the more that you ask those questions, the more that you are willing to put the time, attention, and energy into learning these things, the better you will feel. Okay? Like, literally. So to earn more, you must learn more. You must add more value. You must develop the ability to make a better and more important contribution. You must be asking every single day, quote, what can I do to increase my value to my company today? End quote. Here's a powerful practice that can move you to the top of your field and make you a great success in whatever you undertake. Invest 3% of your income back into who? Yourself, for the rest of your life. This 3% formula is miraculous. For every dollar you invest in your mind in becoming better at what you do, you can eventually earn $10, $20, $30, $50, sometimes even $100 back in personal income. And I think for me, this is why personal development is so important, because I remember when I first started doing it, I kind of thought it was a waste of time a little bit. I was like, oh, like I'm not seeing the rewards of me doing this thing, and no one around me is doing this thing. Like, why am I doing this thing? Like, what's the point? But where I'm standing in my life right now, I see that where I am right now is a reflection of all of the work, or it really is the compounding of all the work that I've been doing since I started doing this work. Because the thing is, when it comes to the work you do internally, you're not necessarily going to see it show automatically. It's going to happen over time, but you have to keep working at it. You have to keep investing in yourself. And at some point, you're going to see that the tides begin to turn, and that investment that you made in yourself is reflected back to you in the form of your bank account, in the form of your career, in the form of how your body looks, in the form of how you feel on a daily basis. And that's literally the point. But if you're only doing it for a specific outcome, instead of looking at it as a way of life, which is what I truly believe it is, we should all be constantly evolving. Evolve or die. We all know we're going to die, so you might as well evolve. Right? The world is constantly in flux. It's constantly changing. And if you don't want to change because, oh, I like how things are, well, things are going to change regardless. So even if you want to maintain the status quo, you're going to have to do a little bit of changing. You are. Like, that's just the reality of the situation. Okay? And if you can be honest with yourself about that, I'm telling you, your life will just be a lot easier. because we all make our lives way harder than it needs to be because we don't want to be honest with ourselves. Like, we want to think that we can still go out and party all the time and everything will be all right. We want to think that we can eat whatever we want and yeah, but I'm still exercising a lot. Well, okay, you still need to have the nutrition part, babe. You can't just exercise all the time and think that you're going to burn the weight off. You're not. You're going to be skinny fat now. That's not what you want. I mean, maybe it is, but I'm saying, like, we have to be honest with ourselves about the results that we're trying to get in our lives and what it really takes to get there. And a lot of people don't want to be honest. They want the outcome without the process. And I think when I think about myself, that was definitely the case. And I think whenever I'm really being honest with myself, or I have a moment where I break through of sorts, or something happens that really shakes me up, I'm left with myself and I'm left with the reality that things only change when I change. So if I am resisting changing a certain area of my life, what does that say? Just something to think about. So designing your life and career, personal strategic planning is very similar to corporate strategic planning. However, instead of return on equity, personal strategic planning is aimed at increasing your return on energy. Put another way, it increases your return on life. The equity in a business is measured in terms of financial capital. Your personal equity, on the other hand, is measured in terms of your own human capital. Your personal equity is composed of the mental, emotional, and physical energies you have to invest in your career. Your goal should be to get the highest return possible on the investment of yourself in everything you do. How well you invest yourself determines your income. This is the focal point of personal strategic planning. You can tell that it is time to revisit your strategic plan when you are no longer getting the results you want from your work or from your life. And I guess that was what happened on Saturday, or I should say Sunday. I was met with the fact that, wow, this is not the result that I want to be having in my life anymore. Like, I really need to shake some shit up. I do, because if I keep having these blips where I feel like everything's going really well, yay, but like, I don't want to get rid of that one little habit, or I don't want to do that little thing, and then it comes back in my face again, clearly I have to rethink my strategic plan for myself because something's not working. I have attached myself to a behavior or a habit or a mindset that is clearly holding me back and repelling me from the future that I say that I want. So, am I going to give it up? Or am I going to give my dream up? And I cannot fathom the idea of giving up a dream because I like to drink a little sometimes on the week, or I want to smoke a J every now and then. Like, it's just not worth it. It's not worth it. And that's the point that I've gotten to. When you feel frustrated or dissatisfied, this is often an indication that you should sit down and ask yourself some good, hard questions. When you experience resistance or stress, or find yourself working harder and harder only to feel that you are getting fewer and fewer rewards, you should stand back and consider revisiting your strategy. So now in the book, it goes into this thing called the sigmoid curve. All right, so I'm going to show it on the screen here. And it's part of this, or not part of this. So it has 3 phases. The first phase is the learning phase. The second phase is the growth phase. And the third phase is the decline phase. So the sigmoid curve. Life moves in regular cycles like the seasons. Most human activities follow what is called the sigmoid curve. This curve is like the letter S lying on its side. Every new endeavor begins at the high point of the S on the left, declines as it goes through a learning phase, rises as it goes through a growth phase, and levels off at the top and then declines again. The sigmoid curve applies to product and service cycles, personal and professional relationships, careers, corporation life cycles, and even the histories of nations and empires. It is helpful for you to stand back and identify where each part of your life is today on the sigmoid curve. Are you in phase 1, the learning phase? Are you in phase 2, the growth phase? Or are you in phase 3, the decline phase? And I think this is really a transformational type of thing if you really apply it to your life. So it says, in phase 1, you are extraordinarily busy, facing challenges and difficulties, learning and trying new things as you scramble to get results, especially financial results. In phase 2, the growth phase, you are in a state of high energy and exhilaration, with business and sales growing and all kinds of new possibilities and ideas bubbling up on all sides. In phase 3, the excitement starts to go out of the business or your career. You are selling fewer products or services or achieving fewer results or rewards. Profit margins are smaller and harder to earn. There is a vague sense of, is this all there is? So I'm going to stop there when it comes to this book, because I feel like we could go on and on. But really my main point today is that you have to take stock of where you are. We all have to take stock of where we are and be honest about the level of investment that we are putting into ourselves or not putting into ourselves. And if we don't like the results that we're getting, we've got to look in the mirror, because we are the problem, but we are also our solution. We are ultimately the greatest investment that we could ever make. And yet most people don't seem to think that. Why? That's not for me to answer. That's for you to answer. I guess if I were to answer, it would be that I've been really distracted, whether it's by social media or by friends or by my job or by media in general or just what society's doing. But none of that really matters, because at the end of the day, you're the only person living your life. So if everybody else is living their life, why aren't you? And why aren't you being intentional about how you live your life? Because otherwise, your life is kind of just wasted. And I have decided for myself that I don't want to waste my life. I don't want to be floating around aimlessly. Oh my gosh, maybe something will work out. No, I want to know it's going to work out because I'm working towards it. That's why I invest my time in the things I truly care about, whether it's my career, whether it's this podcast, whether it's ensuring that I'm actually working out pretty regularly, right? Lately, I've been more intentional with really spending time with my dog and making him feel like I really care about him, because I was just realizing that I was kind of leaving him by the wayside, and that's not cool. We shouldn't be doing that to our pets. We shouldn't be doing that to our friends. We definitely shouldn't be doing it to ourselves. So if you like this message, like, comment, subscribe, maybe share this with a friend, and really think about, am I focused on bringing the best out of myself? And if I'm not, why? And what do I need to do to change that? Is it doing a social media fast? Is it doing a legit fast, like a food fast? Is it saying, hey, you know what? I'm not going to drink for the next 2 weeks. Or I'm not going to smoke any weed for the next 2 weeks. Whatever it is for you. Really ask yourself those deeper questions and start small. Change doesn't have to be this huge thing in order for it to be like, oh my gosh, I did it. Sometimes it's just the little things that you do over time that compound, that makes a huge difference. And not sometimes, That's exactly what it is. So start where you are today and know that just because you may not like a situation or a mindset or a habit in your life right now doesn't mean that you have a life sentence with it. You can change it, but it starts with a decision. And the first decision that I would make is to invest in myself. Because again, we are our greatest investment. We are our greatest assets. So I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.